Good morning. We are talking about walking in kiddos. And so we already have a video on other milestones such as the rolling over and
Right.
crawling phases if they're not quite there yet. This video is for the little ones that are in that crawling phase and wanting to start that walking phase.
So we are going to dive into things that we do here to support them and things you can do at home to support your little. Of course, on the chiropractic side, we are always talking about movement, right?
Yeah.
The biomechanics of how we move. So finding those sticky joints, helping restore motion there, and with that, for example, I have a little one that we'll talk about this, always prefers to use one side, one leg when going up the stairs or stepping forward, whatever it is. It's always this leg is first, then this one, then we'll go back to our dominant side. And what we noticed is that there was some glute tension on that side, but some incredibly tight sensation, right, of the hip flexor on the opposite hip. So like we're always also paying attention to the muscular system because of the way that it attaches to our body, to our spine. So know that when you bring your little to your chiropractor, or at least here, that is what we're also assessing, that gives us some insight and some clues as to where to work. And of course that movement is all about what we're feeling and how babe's pelvis joints move. So a lot that go into there's a lot that goes into it. But
and then little kiddos, like if you think about it, they are like rolling, they're twisting their little bodies. If they're crawling, they might fall on their face a couple times, they might fall on their bum a couple times, especially when we're getting in that walking phase, they might fall on their bum. So there might be that little bit of an impact type of thing that might kind of throw everything off. And
so easy.
Yeah, like we're all so malleable that if you ever had a fall and you notice that your muscles are tense the next day, well, same thing.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. Yes.
And so when we're going with little kids in office, biggest thing that we're kind of looking for is the structural component to their pelvis and like what they're moving. And so Dr. Moran has just explained, like we're looking for that glute tension, we're looking for that hip flexor tension. We might be looking at, is one hip sitting higher than the other one, is kind of what's kind of going on there type of thing. And then as well as like what are their ankles doing, what are their knees doing, what is the structural components throughout their entire leg doing.
Right.
So
is one foot turned out? Are they always or only on their tippy toes? A little bit of that is so fine. We just don't want them always there. And of course, there's a factor as well, I think, when it comes to some bow-leggedness. You can see that very commonly in littles, and they truly can grow out of that. That'll be something that you watch as well with certainly, your pediatrician and whatnot. But of course, something we can observe as well. So, right, that quite literally, we're usually, I feel like, talking about pelvis, like the backside, how things are moving, but we also want to know how that femur bone, your leg, is coming into little's hip joint here. So internal rotation, external rotation, it all plays a factor.
As well as the lumbar spine, because as you know, that the nerves from the back go all the way down the legs and everything like that. So we always want to be mindful of like what's going on in the low back too, and upper back too. Stability, like core strength, anything that's kind of going on there. Upper back into the arms, and basically, truly walking is a full body thing.
So, amen.
Little kids need to be supported in all their bodies. So,
and I just think, of course, the pelvis is so important in this talk because our pelvis helps distribute almost the weight, help balance that, and gravity, essentially, ground reaction forces every time you take a step, and that's exactly just what we're talking about. So we want to make sure the pelvis is balanced, and we will adjust your little if they let us do our little pretzel stretch with them, whether that's on the yoga mat on the floor or on the table. We have a cushion and or the activator, that's our spring-loaded clicker. You've seen that before. Delivers that very direct impulse. The stretching is taking place as much as we can get that 1-year-old plus or so to tolerate.
Yeah.
Because once they are somewhat upright and are moving, they really don't want to be lying on their back in office with all the toys we have. So
yeah, we're so used to following little toddlers around or little kiddos around, running after them, chasing them. They're usually crawling pretty quickly. And
Yes.
so we get as much work as we can get done on them.
Yes.
For sure.
Absolutely.
And then some at-home things that you guys can be mindful of is what Dr. Mariah said before. One little kid was using their one leg profusely or like continuously to develop strength, more so in the other one. So when you guys are at home and your kiddo is always stepping up, let's say on their right leg, and then getting up into that position, well, what you can do is if they're in that kneeling position, you can encourage them just to kind of like gently keep this leg down.
Right. I'm going to hold this leg, or I'm on the other side and I'm going to help push that knee forward, right? You want to help guide your little to know and show them that they can, essentially.
Yeah. They might be a little bit wobbly on the opposite leg that they haven't used in a while. So then you can gently grab underneath right in their lower body and their torso area and just help them stand up a little bit if they need that little extra assistance as well. As well as when they are walking, we ideally would love to see their little hands either brought down and you're holding underneath their little fist for that support walking this way instead of holding onto their little hands above. And so just that support down there keeps them contracting their core, making sure that they're nice and strong and everything like that. And you can also have just your hands around their torso as well, just to keep them walking for that support. So,
yes, and I think, of course, there's some talk about walkers and whatnot and those such toys, and we just want to emphasize, the height of the walker in comparison to your little. Again, if they are utilizing a walker, can that walker be within kind of that torso, that sweet spot, rather than being too high and or too low so that they have to arch or bend, because that is going to impact the way that their lumbar spine and their pelvis essentially is functioning and compensating, and may take away that core activation, which we do not want. We want core activation. The other piece, really, if your little will tolerate it, depending on where your little is, as Dr. Jess was showing you against the wall, I think if your little is up and playing in this upright position, try and get them to play from their knees, because as they're here, that's going to turn on the glute strength and the core strength. They're going to work together. Again, if they will tolerate that, maybe they're beyond that by now, and that's okay too. But just a really great reminder that that position helps turn on those core muscles.
If you have any questions, please comment below and subscribe to our YouTube channel and tell us what you guys need.